What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic, and I am back here with part 2 of my top 40 albums of 2022. Again, this was another fucking solid year in metal. Lots of cool stuff here still to go over, and eventually we will get down to the top 10, the best of 2022. So here we go, kicking off with number 25, getting right into this one with Cult of Luna, The Long Road North. I am a diehard Cult of Luna fan, and I look forward to any release they drop, especially here lately. They have discovered this wonderful balance between post-metal atmosphere and still a bit of that sludge metal that is left over from their earlier years, and this new album might be one of the darkest, coldest ones they've offered yet. I was a huge fan of Dawn to Fear. I loved their last EP, but this album is just kind of unwelcoming. This is essentially like a long journey, probably north, except instead of arriving at your destination safely, you freeze and die from exposure. This is a dismal, dark offering, but loaded with lush soundscapes, their giant production, and all that post-metal deconstruction and reconstruction that you find in great post-metal songwriting. The opening track, Cold Burn, has been stuck in my head since I saw the very strange but very captivating video for it. The doom synths that announced the beginning of this album, which curtails into this really cool tribal rhythm, is definitely one of the most infectious moments of 2022 for me. I can't get that out of my head, and that has always brought me back to this album. But the rest of this album, coupled with all its amazing riffs and melodies and atmosphere, it just draws the listener in, and it doesn't draw you in for a pleasant journey. Again, this is fucking dark. It's not as though Cult of Luna has written a lot of uplifting music in their career, but I think they really kind of refined the darkness on this one. So much like all these, I'll say, if you have not checked out this one, I strongly recommend it. If you're a big post-metal fan like Neurosis, Isis, that sort of thing, definitely check this out. Number 25, right out of the gate, awesome album. At number 24, we have Sai Shiki. To say this is one of the strangest, most odd releases I've heard this year would be an understatement. This is one of the weirdest bands out there, in my opinion. I've been a Sai fan for years, and I still don't completely understand them, but I don't care, because every time I get one of their albums, I am greeted to a wild journey where there are no rules in terms of music. This band combines black metal, industrial, occasionally some trip hop on here, death metal, prog metal, I don't know. Whatever the hell they want, it's avant-garde, there are no fucking rules. One of the things that makes this album stand out so much to me is the otherworldly drum performance of Max Heller on here. The grooves, the syncopation, the fills on here, it is some of the most tight drum work I think I've heard all year. And with a band that can transition from genre to genre so fucking fluidly, or occasionally just so weirdly that you have to be able to keep up, it's just amazing to hear such a fluid drum performance through all of this strange music. I love all the wild unpredictability of songs like Shikabane, or Kuru Kage has this more black metal side to it. Kuru Kagami is also just a wild ride. All of these songs pretty much don't play by the rules, and that is what I love about Sai. This is what always keeps me coming back, and I think this is one of their strongest albums in years. Again, if you have slept on this band for whatever reason and you're just looking for something that is vastly different from probably a lot of things you listen to, check out Sai, check out this album. It's fucking amazing. Number 24, check it out. At number 23, we have Satan, Earth Infernal. I'll go ahead and say it. Satan is one of the best heavy metal acts out there, and one of the most underrated. This band has put out essentially nothing but quality material since their inception back in the late 70s, and the fact that they continue to do it now at such a high level is absolutely amazing. This is straight up old school heavy metal with amazing riffs and harmonies, everything you love about classic heavy metal, but the thing that I like about it personally is the fact that it is actually heavy, and it's dark and sinister. While heavy metal is that classic original heavy, the heavy that most bands came from, it's been pretty much surpassed in its heaviness by, just the fact that metal has grown more extreme over the years. These guys still keep things pretty fast, pretty fucking heavy. The riffs are a little bit more aggressive, bordering more on thrash metal, and there is that more evil, dark, sinister side. Burning Portrait has a really cool descending chorus that just sounds dark and dreary, but my favorite track on here is probably The Blood Ran Deep. It's an instant fucking sing-along. The chorus is so damn catchy, but it has this aggressiveness to the riff work, and it's just fun. Everything in here feels very loose and very fluid. Honestly, since Satan has come back, I don't think they've missed. Every album they have put out since their reformation, which I think happened somewhere in the late 2000s, early 2010s, it's all been excellent, and I think this is just another fucking killer album in their fucking discography. If you're a classic heavy metal fan, there is a ton to love in here if for whatever reason you skipped over this one. So pretty much incoming fucking cliche right here. Hail Satan, check this one out. At number 22, we have Werewolves, From the Cave to the Grave. I've been a fan of this band since their inception, and these guys keep getting better with every release. This is intense blackened death grind featuring members of the Berserker and Necrotic, and this album pulls no punches, both musically or lyrically. I'm pretty sure this album called me a cunt like 4 times, and they're Australian, so they can get away with that. But the blend of dark humor and I don't give a fuck about literally anything lyrics on here, coupled with the absolutely intense riffing, black metal atmosphere, death metal chugs, grindcore fucking levels of violence, it's fucking damn near perfect. And the amount of fun they have with these song titles: Self-Help Book Burning, Nuclear Family Holocaust, Pride and Extreme Prejudice. But it's the clever hooks they throw in here, like Crushing Heaven's Mandate is fiercely fucking catchy as hell, but retains all the brutality you're looking for in death grind or blackened death grind or whatever the fuck they are, because it's just extreme. But quite possibly my favorite song was the song that led me to this one, We Are Better Than You. The lyrics are fucking great. I recommend just checking out the lyric video. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, I absolutely love this album. It's fucking fantastic from start to finish. It is vicious from start to finish, and it's that maintained energy that kept me locked in the entire time I was listening to this. Yet another one I'll say, if you skipped over this one for whatever reason, oh my god, check it out if you're a fan of grindcore death metal, and well, black metal isn't the main thing, but the atmosphere is definitely there. Just check this out. This is an unapologetically fucking heavy and vicious album, and it's all pretty much in good fun. So yeah, check it out. At number 21, we have Gaerea, or Gaerea, I don't know how to say this band's name either. Mirage. I was a big fan of their last one, Limbo. It didn't quite make my year-end list, but the more I dove into this band's catalog, the more I got hooked by them. This is atmospheric black metal from Portugal. They are masked with shrouds with a weird symbol on it. They're creepy to look at and they're creepy to listen to. This band thrives on atmosphere, but also very just passionate, desperate hooks. There's something about this album and a lot of their work where the vocals sound like they're desperately pleading with the fucking listener to save them from the bottom of a well or collapsed subway tunnel that they're trapped in. But it's the vocal dynamics too that help, because there's a lot of like just creepy whispers. In fact, their first album was called Unsettling Whispers, and this album might actually have more unsettling whispers than the album Unsettling Whispers. But as haunting and creepy as it is, this is such a melodic, gorgeous offering. The opening track, Memoir, the way it steadily builds almost like a post-metal song into like a fever pitch of blast beats and dissonant tremolo riffs. It's almost shoegazy to a point, but I don't find it very annoying and repetitive. Like, this actually keeps building the atmosphere as it goes along rather than just droning. But in terms of favorites, man, it's kind of hard to pick. The title track and Deluge are such gorgeous songs, and this is something that I think they have improved on a lot from their last album, Limbo. I think the songwriting is much tighter on here. There isn't so much of a focus on just dissonant tremolos. Like, this breaks it up into really cool riffs, lots of atmospheric sections to sort of build up the emotion and build up the intensity of songs. This band has gotten stronger with each album, and I like the fact that it's more than just this, you know, spooky image-based band. They actually have a great fucking sound behind them. This is one of my favorite black metal albums of the year. I have jammed it quite a bit, and I think honestly it is this band's best offering so far. Again, much like I said at the end of all these, if you have not checked this out for whatever reason, this is absolutely an amazing album. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of bands like Magua or even Behemoth to a degree. This right here could be your new favorite band if you haven't listened to them before, so check it out. At number 20, we have Spiritworld Deathwestern. To say that I was anticipating this album is a fucking understatement, because I was a huge fan of Pagan Rhythms. I still jam that album regularly, and they came out with an album that might be even better. Everything that they did on that first album is done pretty much even better on here, coupling the fact that they have this very unique theme. Before, it seemed like it was something they were kind of flirting with a little bit of like Western music in there, like, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, like that sort of stuff. But now it's used even more effectively here in terms of transitioning the songs from those Western moments to just pummeling fucking thrashy hardcore that is fucking loaded with groove. There's more groove on this album than there are shallow, unmarked graves in the fucking Nevada desert. Every single one of these songs have great groovy sections where you can just sit back and headbang to, coupled with just intense fucking riffing. Like, it lurks somewhere between Hatebreed and Slayer, and it is done so damn well. The vocals are fucking very hardcore oriented. There's lots of gang vocals. I'm a big hardcore fan, you know, growing up listening to a lot of Victory Records band, and this gets me right in those teenage feels of first discovering hardcore and just getting fucking pissed and headbanging in my room. Probably kicking and breaking shit. I don't know, I was a dickhead teenager. But songs like Ulcer, Committee of Vultures, The Heretic Butcher with its great fucking lead-in with the clever melodies that are in there, like in terms of acoustic guitars, this all works so well and is the meeting of two very different worlds. This is mosh pits and fucking rodeos and shit. Personally, that sounds like a terrible idea. I don't even get in mosh pits with people. You throw a fucking wild bull with its fucking nuts strapped up. No, that's pretty much death right there. This album is flat out fucking amazing from start to finish. The only reason why it's a little bit lower on the list is because I haven't had as much time to jam it, but believe me, in the 4 or 5 times that I jammed it on repeat when I got it, because I was super excited to find it in the mail, it is a blast from start to fucking finish. And holy shit, this album artwork is fucking awesome. Again, this one came late in the year, but man, I can't deny the energy and the fucking vibe of this album. It is absolutely incredible. Definitely check this one out. This is just a pure fun release. If you love riffs, if you love groove, you will find something you love on here. So check it out. At number 19, we have Telekinetic Yeti with Primordial. I had never heard of this band. I know that Brian Arkham, fellow YouTuber, brought them up several times. I saw this was out, I checked it out, and holy shit, I am a fan of a new band. Imagine that. This is a 2-man stoner doom band that has some of the best fucking riffs I've heard in stoner metal, and Jesus Christ, this bass guitar combo sound with its chunky fucking nasty fuzzy riffs, oh my god, it's fucking massive. Tons of spacey cosmic guitar effects, but tons of fucking riffs. You get a little bit of Melvin's weirdness to the songwriting, you get a little bit of that crowbar fucking heaviness to the riffs. I absolutely love this album start to finish. This is such a fucking fun album. The song Ancient Nug might be one of my favorites this year. I love how it picks up in the middle, has this nice fast bridge with some really cool lead melodies, and then closes on an absolutely crushing, doomy breakdown. I love how I can get exceedingly fucking heavy, pushing the sonic fucking limits of my eardrums with some of these fucking riffs in here, but also get like nice and fucking moody like the song Toke Wizard. Yes, there's a lot of weed references on here. I wonder why. I mean, you don't think of a band name like this when you're sober. I don't know, they might have, but I feel like that moment was enhanced by something else. Either way, definitely check this out. This is amazing stoner metal slash doom metal slash sludge metal. It kind of meets up with all those things, and if you like any of those things, definitely check this one out. At number 18, we have Nite, Voices of the Cronian Moon. This is another one that kind of snuck up on me. I heard one track and I was like, that sounds like some really cool classic heavy metal. And then I heard the vocals and I was like, that sounds like the ghost of Lemmy fucking groaning through an air conditioning duct. But oddly, it kind of works. I guess you could call this black and heavy metal, but musically this is so very centered on just that classic heavy metal sound, very Judas Priest, Scorpions, that sort of thing. Lots of great harmonies in here. In fact, some of the catchiest guitar harmonies I think I've heard all year are on this album. The opening track, Acheron, has an undeniable hook that is kind of like the pre-chorus, which the vocals carry a minimal amount of melody, but they don't need to when your guitar work is this good. Edge of the Night has this beautiful fucking gallop to it, like very reminiscent of classic Iron Maiden. Everything about this just screams, I love the fucking 80s, but I also like just a little bit of evil. And as much as nostalgia always plays a part, it's not the main thing. The main thing is the songwriting on here. It is so damn good and so damn catchy on every track. There really isn't a track on here I didn't like, right down to the last track, the Trident, though I think the chorus is a little repetitive, but Liber Ex Doctrina, absolutely amazing song. Everything on here is fucking fantastic. Hell, even the song Last Scorpion kind of sounds like Scorpions. This one was a hard one for me to put down. I constantly came back to this one just because it was so damn catchy, and with all the brutal music that I listen to, which we'll definitely get more towards, this was kind of a good refresher. So yeah, if you are a giant fan of classic heavy metal and like a little bit of black metal, mostly just in terms of the vocals, strongly recommend this. There's nothing but absolutely catchy fucking riffs on this. That is pretty much it. So yeah, check it out. At number 17, we have Revocation Netherheaven. This is yet another fantastic album in fucking Revocation's back catalog, which pretty much is nothing but musical excellence, at least in my book. Dave Davidson really has not missed since the inception of this band, and I think has only gotten better over time. This really showcases his wide wheelhouse, mainly because I believe he is the only one doing the guitars in here and was more so in charge of all the songwriting. So everything seems to fit a little bit better on here. You still get that balance of death metal, thrash metal, and even occasionally a little bit of a dip into melodic death metal territory. But the songwriting on here, I think, is some of his best. It's some of his most dynamic. And the main thing is I think these songs stand out from one another, making this a really good listen. Nihilistic Violence might be one of my new favorite songs from Revocation in general. I love how it builds with that big, slow churning breakdown into a nice groovy section, but it's that thrashy section that just goes full tilt fucking Slayer. Oh my god, like the adrenaline spike that hits when that comes in and the awesome fucking leads. Absolutely killer. The instrumental, The Ninth Chasm, is absolutely fantastic, and Galleries of Morbid Artistry has so many cool, just very creepy melodies, and atmosphere in here I think is maybe a little bit more explored. It's more than just go for the throat riffage. There's a lot of really cool songwriting dynamics on here that keeps this fresh. I like all their albums, and I think their last one was really good, but I think this one even tops that. I strongly recommend this if you're a fan of thrash metal and death metal. You're gonna find shit you like on here, and Revocation just continues being awesome at this point. Again, I don't think they've released a bad album yet, and that streak is still fucking hot, so check it out. At number 16, we have Devin Townsend, Lightwork, and by extension, Nightwork, because I think this is best listened to as a complete piece between the two albums. One of the things that I continue to look for in music a little bit more here lately is like an emotional connectivity to it, and Devi has always been exceptionally good at that. That is one of the reasons why his brand of progressive metal stands out to me, is because it comes from the heart almost as much as it comes from the brain. Of course, there's tons of great songwriting and pulling in elements from different styles of music and blending them to become kind of his own thing, but it's the heart that he puts into the lyrics and the singing. It all sounds earnest, and it is all fiercely personal and generally about where he is in life. And Lightwork is definitely a softer album. I don't know if I would even call it a metal album, but it's sort of like this big hug. Like it's just telling you, hey, don't freak out. It's gonna be okay. We're still going through some shit, but we're gonna get to the fucking other side. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully it's not a fucking train. Either way, keep moving forward. That's the entire vibe on here, and I just love these songs. The title track has an absolutely soaring chorus, which Devi excels at, but the calming vibe of a song like Call the Void just kind of just keeps you settled down. Like the whole don't freak out little chorus thing, it resonates with me, and it's something we've all had to work on during this whole fucking pandemic thing. Heartbreaker has this very interesting proggy bounce to it, possibly one of the most progressive songs in here. But then you get down to Nightwork and you start hearing these songs that are a little bit more off the theme of Lightwork. You have songs like Factions, which might be one of the heaviest songs that he's ever done, and the fact that they have two different versions of the same song. On Lightwork you have Children of God, and then on this one you have Children of Dog, and essentially the same, but they both take a slightly different approach to like the bridge section and a little bit of atmospheric changes overall. Devi continues to be such an amazing creative force, and I'm always drawn to his work, and I think this is an absolutely beautiful piece. And on their own, I think they would be both good albums, but together, I think that's what makes this excellent, and that's why this one's on here. It's not quite the wild roller coaster that Empath was, but this is more or less like a nice cross-country journey with, you know, maybe the windows down on a nice summer day. That doesn't sound very metal, and a good chunk of this isn't very metal, but it's excellent, and if you love Devin Townsend, you should definitely check this one out. At number 15, we have Terror, Pain into Power. Another band that I have been a giant fan of for years. This is one of my go-to hardcore bands, and holy shit, did they come out with quite possibly one of their most vicious releases in years. There is no fat to trim off of this. Everything is concentrated, grade A fucking beefy rage. And it better be, because it's not even 20 minutes long. Every song on here goes for the throat, jaw, fucking liver, whatever it can fucking punch and destroy, because this is just fucking violent. Boundless Contempt, 1000 Lies, On the Verge of Violence. Dude, all these songs are fucking pretty much just condensed to, you know, the bare essentials, but oh my god, there's so much fucking violence packed into them, and man, the riffs are excellent. This is the kind of hardcore I love. There's just a touch of metal in here, but I wouldn't call it metalcore, but it's played with a metal intensity, and plus you even have fucking Corpse Grinder on here on Can't Help to Hate, so that gives a little bit of metal cred rather than hardcore cred. It's not as though they need it though, because Scott Vogel has some fucking incredible vocals of his own. I legit believe everything he is saying, especially when it comes down to how much he wants to kick the shit out of people. His vocals are the verbal equivalent of fucking swinging haymakers at you. I love this album. Granted, there were EPs I listened to that were longer than this, but in terms of just condensing an album down to its bare essentials and not losing anything, this is it. This is one of the most refined releases I've heard this year. Definitely check this out. If you're a long-time fucking Terror fan, you'll absolutely love this. And if you just haven't checked out this band for whatever reason, pretty much everything Terror puts out is awesome, and this might be one of their best yet. So definitely check it out. At number 14, we have Bloodbath, Survival of the Sickest. I don't even give a shit that this has the same name as a Slab album. This was Bloodbath pretty much returning to form. I liked the last two albums, the first two that actually had Old Nick on it, or Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost, but they were kind of missing something that the Ackerfeld era had. And this album recaptures all that. This is a far more intense offering than their last one. The riffs are fucking back, and there's just nothing but fucking bangers, and a little bit of a tribute to death metal in general, just in terms of their style. It's very much Swedish death metal. It has that glorious HM2 tone that I fucking love so damn much, but also with fierce nods to bands like Cannibal Corpse with Malignant Maggot Therapy. That actually sounds like something that could have come off a fucking Kill. But it's the last track, No God Before Me. It's pretty much the spiritual sequel to fucking God of Emptiness. The absolutely bleak chorus, the doomy fucking riffs, everything about it is fucking killer. This is the best album I think they've done with Nick Holmes so far, and it pretty much just does everything that I love about death metal. There's a campy self-awareness to it, but there's also just a flat-out seriousness and just brutal intention just to get your fucking ass moving in the pit. This album was absolutely nothing but fun to listen to, and I return to it quite often, and yeah, there really isn't much in the way of weakness on here at all. So yeah, if you're one of the few death metal fans that didn't get this one, go get it immediately. It's a fucking must own. At number 13, we have Immolation Acts of God. I don't think God had anything to do with this album, and honestly, I don't think Immolation wanted God to have anything to do with this album. This is, again, an Immolation album. I struggled fucking reviewing this one just in terms of talking about, like, well, how else do I say this? It's an Immolation album. That in itself is a glowing review because, in my opinion, Immolation have nothing but quality work. This is a gloriously intense and evil offering. Ross Dolan's vocals are incredible. Fucking Rob's guitar work is absolutely insane. The mix of distant riffs and wild solos. And I have to say the drum work on here is absolutely dizzying. It's almost kind of hard to follow at times, but I absolutely love how chaotic it is. It matches up with the chaotic crawling riffs that are on every fucking song. Songs like An Act of God, Shed the Light, Noose of Thorns, Let the Darkness In. Dude, literally every song on here is absolutely killer. And I don't know how to describe it other than it's an Immolation album. It's one of those pretty much, if you have heard Immolation before, you kind of know what this sounds like. And by that, you know that it's probably fucking excellent. I'm not entirely sure where this one would actually sit in a ranking, to be honest, but I don't know. I might like this one a little bit better than the last one after jamming this one more. It just feels maybe a little bit tighter, a little bit more aggressive, and I don't know, like there's just something about this one that's just meaner. But yeah, Immolation did it again. I had pretty high hopes for this one just because Immolation has set a standard as far as I'm concerned. They don't have a bad album, so as long as they keep that up, and the fact that they have their own sound too, there really isn't a band that sounds like Immolation other than Immolation. That is something I love in this day and age because there are a lot of bands that sound like another band. This band, I can flat out say they sound like Immolation, and I think everyone fucking gets it. But yeah, this is absolutely fantastic, pretty much like I thought it would be. And yeah, if you haven't jammed this album yet, know that it sounds like Immolation, and it's fucking awesome once again. At number 12, we have Municipal Waste, Electrified Brain. Holy shit, this album is fucking awesome. And I know there hasn't been much thrash on this list, but the thrash that's on here is exceptionally strong, and I would say this might be possibly my favorite album since The Art of Partying, which I would say is a crossover fucking landmark, at least in my opinion. At least in terms of like modern crossover, like, you know, of course there's a lot of classics out there, but I think The Art of Partying should be up there. But this album is possibly even more sophisticated. I know I said that about Municipal Waste, and there are tons of songs about beer in here. But the songwriting just feels tighter, and the addition of Nick Polos as their lead guitarist, him coming out firing on this one, like Demoralizer. The opening harmonies on there scream more like Iron Maiden epicness than it does crossover thrash. But it works. Every single song in here is hooky as hell. Grave Dive, and I absolutely love the fact that they reference my state and 10-cent beer night. Yeah, the whole municipal field debacle where Stroh's put out 10-cent beer and then ran out of it. And well, that ended very poorly, but it made the history books and pretty much cemented the fact that Ohio is rarely ever in the history books for anything good. But this pretty much just embodies every reason I like Municipal Waste already and adds more to it. And I like the fact that, you know, a band that a lot of people tend to dog is like, well, they're just pizza thrash. Like, well, so what's fucking wrong with that? Who doesn't like pizza? But there's more to them. They actually showed off a lot of really cool songwriting dynamics, more melody, more leads. It's like the difference of, you know, going from a cheap frozen pizza to like one of those cool brick oven places that have those really cool artisanal pizzas that are fucking awesome. I'm not saying they're that sophisticated because this is Municipal Waste. They are still about the party. They are still about fucking raging and destroying shit. And they are still an unbelievable amount of fun, and that will be always something that I love about this band. But yeah, they fucking killed it with this one. This is one of their best albums. I'll go on record and say that. And if you missed out on this album for whatever fucking reason, you missed out on one of the most fun albums in terms of thrash that came out this year. Definitely check this one out, and keep in mind, Municipal Waste is gonna fuck you up. And finally for this one, my number 11, Russian Circles, Gnosis. I have been a longtime fan of this band, and this is yet another band that I will say does not have a bad release, and they continued that. This is yet another fantastic release from them. Flat out post-metal, but there's something about this album that is a little bit darker and heavier. They haven't sounded this dark or heavy, I think, since Memorial, which is a particularly bleak sounding album for an all-instrumental band. And to be able to convey emotion without vocals, you know, namely sadness, anger, all that stuff, because there's a lot of negative emotions on here, is a giant testament to their songwriting ability. The song Conduit on here is absolutely shockingly heavy, having like almost bolt thrower like grooves to it and very chuggy riffs, but they still do a lot of their atmospheric building, namely on the title track, which I think is one of their best songs yet. This has all the tropes that I love about post-metal in general, but it combines it with like an intensity and like an urgency in terms of like making these songs just sound huge. I absolutely loved this album. It's doomy, it's bleak. It was just outside of the top 10, and believe me, that was a tough choice to make, but here it sits, still really high on the list, and this is just an absolutely fantastic album. If you like groove-laden instrumental metal, I'm pretty sure you'd probably dig this, but honestly, if you're a post-metal fan and you love atmosphere and song building, this is some of the best post-metal that came out this year, in my opinion. And generally, Cult of Luna takes that spot for me, like every time I bring up post-metal. They got beat. They got beat by this one, and it's not to say that Cult of Luna album is bad at all, clearly not, because it's on this fucking list, but this is how it's done. This is absolutely fucking fantastic, and I strongly recommend checking this one out. All right, that is it for part 2, and that leaves only the top 10 left. And those were tough to pick too, just because those are the ones that fucking just got me the most and kind of got me in different ways. That's the beauty of this fucking awesome genre we call metal, that it can come at you in different directions and appeal to different sensibilities in terms of your tastes. And yeah, making lists like this definitely puts that to the test. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our store is there. You can get our t-shirts. We are currently out of extra large, and we will eventually restock on that. But our Patreon link is down there, and for our patrons, we have polls going up for what we're going to cover next in terms of rankings after we do Crowbar. We're getting close to putting up the next batch of picks. I believe the next one will be from Jam and John, so we are going to need your votes on that. So patrons, keep that in mind. We're going to need your votes to pick shit, and for those that would like to vote on this and would like to be a part of our Patreon, the link is down below. And of course, Denver Death Fest will be happening in Denver, Colorado, because that's where it is. This will take place from April 20th to April 22nd. We are looking forward to making an announcement of bands that will happen around the new year, I believe. We'll do a whole video for it. Again, I'm still in the dark as to who all is going to be there, so this will be a surprise for me too, but we are looking forward to unveiling this lineup and hopefully seeing some of you there. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. You know, towards the end of the year, I definitely think about this stuff more and just how, much this channel has grown, the community has grown. It's absolutely amazing. And one of the best parts is that, a lot of the same familiar faces keep coming back and keep talking to us, and we love it. This is just an amazing thing that we have here. And after all these years, it's still a tremendous amount of fun. So thank you all for that. So with that, I'm going to give you one more big awkward thank you, and we will catch you later.